Good morning, folks. It's your friendly neighborhood PhD, Dr. Jed Burton. Welcome to another episode of the Beyond Report on this Sunday morning, February the 23rd, 2020. Got some Burton Beyond news. I'm going to be heading off on a secret mission for the next couple of weeks. So the video issuance will taper off just a bit. But in the interim, continue to watch the videos and click a like and share and subscribe. I'd like to see where we can take this thing. And I certainly appreciate all your support. But after a couple of weeks and I'm done with this project, I'll resume regular video issuing of the series that I have going, the Beyond Report, Quick Classics, and Antiquity X, and Sunday School X, with actually a lot more to come. I'll do one more video here in a day or two, Quick Classics episode on the Festival of the Lupercalia, because it's such a hotly debated topic right now in sort of fringe Christian research, I guess you might say. In terms of the Antiquity X stuff that's going to be coming out, you definitely want to stay tuned for that. I've got episodes planned for studying the identity of the god that's worshipped at the Lupercalia. There'll be an episode on the god kings of antiquity, and also one on the Egyptian priest Manetho, who lived in the 3rd century during the Ptolemaic era and wrote a dynastic history of Egypt. All of those actually are requests from you guys. So you're actually playing a part in the content and the subject of the content that's getting produced on this channel. So there'll definitely be some shout outs when those come out. Now, in terms of some of the general news that I've seen coming across the desk this week, there have been some pretty interesting stories. One of which has to do with some evidence for an Irish colony that was established in the South Carolina region before Columbus. Now, the idea that the Irish were in North America before Columbus is not actually a new idea. The idea actually goes back to St. Brendan, who was an Irish monk, and it's thought that the account of his voyage is a description of a journey to North America. In this case, in this study, there have been some linguistic comparisons of native words and Gaelic words, and some of the similarities seem to indicate that this may have been the case. Now, I should qualify this by saying that as a historian and anthropologist, I have no problem with there being pre-Columbian explorers in North America, because even if you only buy that the Vikings were in North America, which we have good archaeological evidence for at places like Lansdowne Meadows and Newfoundland, even if you only buy that, they were in North America 400 years before Columbus was. And I would go further and say that there's evidence that certainly suggests that there were older Old World explorers in the New World before Columbus, ranging from the people from the British Isles and going back even farther to the Romans and the Phoenicians, who were the greatest sailors in the ancient world. And on the Pacific side, there's certainly evidence that the Chinese had made visits to North America. So I have no problem with that, but I'll let you make up your own mind. Put a link to the description of this particular story. Now, another interesting story has to do with an Antiquity X episode that a subscriber had suggested, and that is archaeologists believe that they found the tomb of Romulus. The site under the Forum in Rome is not a newly excavated site, and even the connection with Romulus is not a new one, because I believe that there were some tessera mosaics that were discovered that mention the name of Romulus. And of course, that area of Rome was associated with the founder of Rome to begin with. But as I understand it, the sarcophagus that they found is a relatively new find. And if this is the case, if it did indeed belong to Romulus, then by my count, this is the third of the god kings of antiquity to have been found. Beginning with Gilgamesh, Osiris being second, and now Romulus. And if you recall, Romulus, of course, has this semi-divine pedigree. His father was Mars, and his mother was the Vestal Virgin Rhea Silvia. So it's a rather interesting find that I will watch with a careful eye as that unfolds. Now, the other thing that I wanted to talk about, this is a story that's kind of close to my heart, is the closing of Logsdon Seminary at Hardin-Simmons University. And that may be neither here nor there for most of you, but if you follow my work, you've read my books, and you're familiar with my work on the history of Peneus and the Mount Hermon region and the Watchers and the Nephilim, that journey actually began at Hardin-Simmons at the Logsdon Seminary for me, right there in those hallowed halls. One of my mentors, Dr. George Knight, who passed away a couple of years ago, was very instrumental in helping me in those directions. Long before I actually went to Hardin-Simmons, I had known him since I was 10 years old, and he inspired me to go into archaeology and history in many ways. But I studied Greek under him, and actually took a number of courses from Logsdon, including Old Testament, New Testament, the history of the church, philosophy of religion. There were a couple of other electives that I took. And of course, the graduate classes I took there were in biblical archaeology. So it was a very formative experience for me that set me off on not only the expedition to help excavate Caesarea Philippi, Bonias, but I would eventually go on and write my dissertation on the history and sacred geography of that site. So I owe a lot to professors like the late Dr. George Knight and people like Dr. Don Williford for helping me down that path. It's been a very divisive thing, lots of ad hominem attacks, people saying that, it's the conservatives bashing the liberals, or the liberals bashing the conservatives, or that the seminary had lost its way, or that it's the current administration who dropped the ball, or that there's money stolen from the endowment for Logsdon. I may never know. Some of us may never know what exactly happened. To quote Shakespeare, something stinks in Denmark, and I have yet to actually get a clear idea of what exactly is going on. But it's a bittersweet time for me, because I have lots of good memories, lots of godly professors that I got to learn from at Logsdon, and definitely saddened for that. So prayers for the university and the seminary. Hopefully it can be saved, but I'm not very sanguine about the chances. It probably will be shuttered altogether. At any rate, again, stay tuned to Burton Beyond. Again, I'll be back in a couple of weeks. Dr. Aaron Judkins and myself, as I say, are working on this book on Göbekli Tepe and the Bible. Very excited about that. Going to be published with Defender Publishing. under the careful auspices of Tom Horn. And again, keep watching the videos, and click a like, subscribe, and share. And I will be back in about a couple of weeks, and I'll see you pretty soon on Quick Classics here in a day or two. Godspeed to you all, and I'll talk to you soon.